Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to an episode of Hightop Sports. Happy Monday to all of you. Hope you guys are ready for a fantastic week. SEC Media Days of this week. College EA Sports gets released today. We're going to talk a little bit about that more later on in the show. But first order of business, we got to talk about it. Everyone's talking about it. I kind of was waiting to see how, how realistic this whole situation was. Seems to be a lot of cheddar in the bank here with what's going on. So I figured I'd give you kind of a quick rundown and give my thoughts and opinions about it. No harm, no foul. It's not coming at a good time. And I'll explain what I mean. So Cormani McClain, there's some issues, apparently. The same issues that he had at Colorado, which is showing up late or not at all, which is now starting to have an impact on the team. Let me go ahead and read you exactly what's happening from Nick Del Toro here, and then we'll kind of take it and break it down. So the rumors started flooding around in some spaces. I think Miami kind of spoke about it first. Some Miami fans spoke about it, kind of started getting the ball rolling here. Nick Del Toro, this thing has been flying all over the places, so I'm not taking any news here. This screenshot has flooded the internet from the On3 forums. I was told Cormani McClain has been late to most of the requirements. Or most of the requirements / meetings list, etc. I also read in another forum that he's missing meetings, not just being late, but missing the actual meetings. The way that it's handled, it's sort of like a strike system. Essentially, you get a warning, then you have to do extra run / lift. He's in the weight gain program, so we could have to do extra lifting, which he showed up to late as well. They started to make the defense, and then the rest of the team do these extra lifts, thinking that will get Cormani to show up on time, and it hasn't. So, my goodness, you're not going to you're not going to be liked in the locker room if your tardiness / immaturity is causing the rest of the team to have to go run. Goes to what I said about him when Florida took the flyer on him. Just immature, needs to grow up. Nick from the top ropes, ladies and gentlemen. Look, this was our concern when it was brought on. Is look, there's some issues. But I still don't regret taking that on. As some people may still no, this was a dumb move. You always want to try to give someone a second chance, especially a young kid trying to figure things out. Again, we got him in a sense cheap, right? Because he was a walk-on. So it was a no harm, no foul, not taking it, but scholar positions. Remember when we did speak about it, I even spoke to this. I said, you got to believe that Billy went through a treacherous process in bringing him in. And I'd imagine that, again, he interviewed with the players. The players yep, seems to be he's dialed in, he's focused. This is crazy. I mean, at one point, this kid was the number one cornerback in the country, and you have now essentially destroyed your last straw. At one point, I know before he came to Florida, UCF and USF, and I want to say a team like Houston maybe we're possibly looking at him. Could they still want him even after a second time? Right? The kid's not even on scholarship, but he is taking a spot, if that's even a thing, on Florida Victorious. I did see that he signed with Florida Victorious, so I know that he is getting paid, which we did speak about, right? Who cares about really the scholarships anymore because they're going to sign a deal. So he now has a deal with Florida Victorious. That to me is where this straw should be cut. If it's anybody else, how do you handle it? If it's anybody else, do we even hear about it? Is another great question, right? How often do these things happen? I wouldn't imagine they're a common thing, but my line is, again, we kind of heard a little bit, obviously, with Kamari Wilson last year. He kind of came late to the game. He had his own off-the-field issues. Obviously, Florida kept him on for a while. Again, I don't know if it was to the same extreme level. Again, Cormani's name has much more gravity behind it than, let's say, Kamari Wilson did at the time. And again, I'm not saying Cormani did any of these things. I just know he had that one game where he had the hiccup where he didn't show up, then he did show up. He obviously remained on the team throughout the year. Billy, we hear about him being kind of a no-nonsense kind of guy, but at the same time, things like this, we're like, why is this happening? For me, personally, because there's a history there. Again, Cormani Wilson, from our understanding, didn't have a previous history, right? Coming into this, did not have any issues off the field in a sense. So you came to Florida with the issues already packed. You came here with luggage, not Louis, mind you. Right? And there's a reason why you were once a number one cornerback or 5-star receiver or a cornerback, now as a walk-on. And yeah, you moved to a walk-on, and now you're still doing the same things that you were dealing with. And look, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going through his head. We don't know the things he's dealing with. I'm not trying to drag this young man's name through the mud by any stretch because I have no clue what he's going through. But at the end of the day, it's a business decision. But the team has to make that decision of like, how are you impacting this? We're all dealing with things on a regular basis. It's, you know what I'm saying? So that's the hard part about it is we don't know what he's dealing with. And hopefully he's able to figure it out. But this is just bad publicity and negative publicity that Billy and the Gators don't need to be a part of right now. To be frank, we don't need any of this nonsense. We don't need any of these issues happening with just the state of the program. We need every ounce of positivity we could get right now. Okay, and stuff like this where Billy's just being questioned and called to. People are going to try to spin this like, oh, Billy doesn't have a hand on the program. He can't handle these things. And some people are going to take that and run with it. And look, if nothing does happen, I mean, there's going to be questions. Like, that just is what it is. We don't know the full story. All we're getting is secondhand nature. But again, perception becomes reality eventually. And that's kind of where we're at. So it sucks. I was really hoping it would work out. I saw somebody post on Twitter just the other day. His overall rating was like an 82 for the EA Sports game. I mean, you're in the game, like, really cool stuff, an opportunity. I felt like we were in a great position with cornerbacks. Felt like it was a steal. When it happened, I loved it. I was cool with it. Given the circumstances, hey, give him a second shot. Doesn't cost anything. No big deal. Let's rock. Let's send it. Well, now it's you don't even care about the second opportunity. So with that, I mean, you got to think that all hell breaks loose. I don't know. It's unfortunate. It really is, but I don't see how you can't go anywhere else besides see you later. I don't expect us to see him on the field, probably, if this doesn't end up in him being released or let go. I don't know. He doesn't match the numbers. We'll continue to monitor and continue to listen, keep our ears down to hear if there's anything more to it. But as of now, the last that I read of this morning, the team is speaking about it on how they choose to go, on how they're choosing to go forward with it. Again, I read enough. For me personally, I've read enough. If you missed late, I'm irritated with being late, but missing meetings and workouts, to me, here's how I look at it. I worked at Publix, all right? I'm going on a rant still. I worked at Publix, and when I growing up at Publix, if you could not miss work, and I mean, look, maybe they kind of instilled the fear in me, but if you missed work at all and were caught doing something else, like if you called out saying you were sick but weren't actually sick and got caught, fired immediately. You called, no-showed, just didn't show up, gone, see ya, kaput. This is Publix. I was making $7.25 an hour as a bag boy, and if I was a no-call, no-show, not to mention if I was late multiple times, but I think it was like 3 times, you're gone. 3 times, you're gone. $7.25 an hour. I'm a bag boy, sweating my ass off. Okay? Gone. That's where my head's always been at. Like, that's the standard for me of just tardiness, all those things when it comes to work, because the standard that I was held to as a bag boy, right? Like, Publix didn't play no games. They got a little more lenient now in their days, but it was like the military. It was, okay, not that intense, but it was pretty intense. So for me, that's where I come. That's how I look at this. It's like, I don't even know how this is a discussion, but again, everyone has their ways of doing things and handles it differently, and it's a new age. So it is what it is. Even at work, it's much different for myself now than when I was coming up. So I'm understanding to a certain extent, but this, especially when you already had a second chance, I think that line should be a little bit shorter. I think it's time to cut it loose. However, some exciting news. Today at 4 p.m., we all know what's going down. We all know what's going down, boys and girls. We're dropping the basket here. EA Sports is going to be finally released to the rest of us. I kind of hate it. I feel like it almost like everyone's got its early access code besides like us normal people. And it's kind of like not taking the excitement. It's made it more exciting, but it's been very like FOMO-y, watching everyone else play while we just sit here and watch. But today we get to get ourselves in the game while we go live at 8:05. Unless something happens, I might have to push it back just a little bit. Got a little smorgasbord beforehand. I mean, that's a word there, but I'm pumped. I'm pumped to do the game today, to play, to dive into it. If you want to be there, tune in. Let's have a good time. Let's learn this thing. I've tried not to watch too much because I like to just go in there just raw. You know what I mean? Like, let me go in there. I'm turning settings all the way up. Florida, Miami game. I want to be at August 31st as quickly as possible. So that's what we're going to go do, I think. I don't know. We'll play it by year, but I didn't mean to ruin your Monday morning if I did with this news, but I feel like, it's our job here to talk about these things, and that's what we're doing here right now. We're talking about it. So, but good news is we'll be playing and having some fun later on today, and then we've got SEC Media Day to cover all this noise up. So, if anything changes, you know where to go. Come to the channel, turn the bell on, subscribe, like the video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace and love, baby.